Take a moment to consider that you are not your body. Your true self is not limited by the body. What if awareness or the soul uses all biological life as a form of smart technology for lives in other spatial and temporal dimensions? We are clone-powered explorers scouting alien worlds. Colonizing exotic new worlds and developing our use of clones are the objectives. The complexity of a soul's gameplay increases with the number of incarnations they have. What a unique method to resolve disputes while having fun. You take on human form, fight like this is just a game of Call of Duty, and then you come back? Well, according to whistleblowers, this has not only been in practice for decades, but has actually been mobilized by the military. Today we're exploring the covert 20 and Back secret space program. In 2020, when the United States Space Force was announced, the internet went wild. What did this mean? Did the government know something we didn't? Well, obviously. But for a small group of whistleblowers, this was the push they needed for their truth to come out. Way back in 1982, 10-year-old Tony Rodriguez had just entered the 4th grade. Tony had been accepted onto a gifted and talented program, which comprised of some of the most advanced children in the area. At school, he met another boy, the son of a billionaire who he took an immediate dislike to. The pair would bicker constantly, and the mutual disdain for one another was obvious right from the start. Of course, 10-year-old Tony was no angel, and later admits he said some pretty nasty things to his classmate. In one argument, the child said to Tony, "My dad is in the Illuminati. What's your dad do?" Which struck him as odd. Tony didn't know what the Illuminati was, but from the tone of the other kid's voice, it seemed like a threat. The boy went on to tell Tony that his extremely wealthy father was an Illuminati member. He just so happened to be here on business, working on a Coca-Cola agreement. Days later at a science fair, Tony saw the boy and his father and heard the boy say, "Dad, there's that boy I told you about." Tony was shocked when the man said to his son, "We'll send him on a trip and take care of this." Or words to that effect. Tony shrugged the incident off and went home, not thinking twice about the weird kid from school. However, the next morning, Tony awoke to see a gray-looking extraterrestrial staring him in the face. Tony was barely awake when suddenly there was a burst of blinding light. Another extraterrestrial entered his room, reptile-like. The creature grabbed him up and took him to the end of his bed. The reptile-like creature persuaded Tony to give them the consent to borrow his consciousness. After that, Tony passed out. When he awoke, he was in some sort of lab or operating room. Bright. It was a round, drab gray room, he remembers. Here, Tony gave them his telepathic consent to utilize his consciousness for certain tests to determine whether he possessed the genetic makeup they were seeking so they could use him for covert programs. Tony passed the test in favor of what the ETs were looking for, and he was told to start his first program the next day. Tony had total amnesia when he awoke the following morning in Inyokern, California. He had no recollection of his identity, his parents, or of his youth. He even battled to retrieve his voice because he had a hard time remembering how to speak English due to the intensity of the industrial hypnosis. From there, he was transferred to the back of the moon for a chemically induced remote viewing procedure from an emerging trauma-based mind control program. Subsequently, after being transported to Seattle, he was bought by a rich Satanist who used him to observe illegal products and drugs from a distance. He was then transported to Peru for this purpose. Tony was compelled to take part in sex parties resembling the infamous Pizzagate during his stay with the billionaire from Seattle, where he witnessed numerous demonic rituals. The Seattle billionaire then had him undergo calisthenics training and put him on an unspecified medication regimen. Tony developed an allergy to these medications, which led the millionaire to decide to donate him to a covert space program. Tony was trained as a suicide soldier in this covert space program, honing the fight-or-flight response in an arena against insectoids. The most virtuous thing you can do is give your life to your brother, according to this program, which delivered bio-neural qualities through eye drops and showed him countless movies. These mind control films were intended to instruct him to not flee from an adversary during a battle. He was intended to serve as a trained support soldier for our armed forces. From there, he was transported to Mars for a battle mission alongside additional insectoids. The insectoids, far quicker than expected adaptation, forced the cancellation of this program. The Ceres Colony Corporation, which is located between Mars and the asteroid belt, then sent him to a larger underground metropolis where he worked on ship repair. Nazis, who abided by an agreement with extraterrestrials, administered this colony. Tony worked as a cargo engineer on a starship, and eventually, 20 years in, he completed his mission. The alien beings industrially drugged him once more, erasing his memory yet again, and giving him all of his previous memories back before he traveled back to his original time frame. To make him forget names, faces, and the entire period of time he was gone. They had also performed various surgical procedures in conjunction with the hypnosis, but after all that, he was free. Tony was sent back to his 10-year-old form. He awoke on what apparently was the very next day after the science fair and immediately raced downstairs to his family, saying, "I haven't seen you guys in years." Quickly, like dreams, the memories slipped away, and for the next 33 years, Tony got on with his life, forgetting all about the 20 years he spent in the secret space fleet. However, in April of 2015, Tony went into a hospital for an MRI scan. The memories came flooding back. The kidnapping, the hypnotization, the drugging, the work he completed, all 20 years of memories came back to him in an instant. These horrifying recollections caused him to panic as a result of worry. He was aware that he couldn't get any form of professional assistance because they would only try to drug him extensively and discount the veracity of his memories. With others, he started to discuss matters and recount things that looked strange and implausible. Despite the seeming inexplicability of these occurrences, he was able to get ahead of the curve and the revelation of his memories before, as luck would have it, the government started to formally release them, establishing the veracity of his memories. The next year, in 2016, Tony went public with his claims and attempted to find others who had been through the same thing. And quickly, he was able to prove that he wasn't the only one. Marine whistleblower Michael Gerloff came forward with claims that in 1978, when he was 18 years old, he was accepted into the secret space program. He showed psychic powers at a young age. For instance, at age 3, he experienced an out-of-body experience. Later, Gerloff discovered that his DNA didn't match either of his parents. Despite having less memory recall than Rodriguez, Gerloff's account of being enlisted into the secret space program is remarkable. He asserts that while taking a test to become a Marine, a captain pulled him aside and asked him to join the Space Corps. Gerloff recalls that during this encounter, he was told that he had to decide there and then whether to take up the offer. Gerloff asked the captain if he was allowed to make a call before accepting, but this request was denied. The captain instead promised Gerloff that he would send a military telegram, or Marsgram, as he called it, to his family, informing them of his safety. Gerloff recalls learning about the 20 and Back program and being assured he would be sent home in time when his tour of duty was over. The next thing he knew, 20 years had passed, but he awoke sitting in the same room, in the same chair, with the same captain. He had been transported back to the moment he signed up, with his memory completely wiped. He couldn't completely understand what had happened because he was so confused and bewildered. Like Tony, any recollection he had of the weird encounter quickly faded, and he got on with his life. However, years later when he uncovered the promised Marsgram the captain had sent to his parents' house, all of his memories came flooding back. Gerloff, like many others, now campaigns against the government for them to release any and all information pertaining to the secret. So, what do you think? Could this conspiracy have any weight to it? Are the government really kidnapping children to use in out-of-this-world covert missions?